Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I am the CHALL, your YouTube sporting network, and today we are going to be chatting all things Huddersfield, because that is the fixture coming up. Now, before we get started, please do like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to know this YouTube video. Now, we are not going to be giving you a team lineup prediction because it's pre-season. We never know what these things can end up as, and also with the childless as well. So we're just going to be focusing on the history of Huddersfield, looking ahead to the fixture, but to start off with, we're going to be recapping a couple of fixtures that have been and gone. Now, I do want to say a massive thank you to Dylan, Joe and Matty for the past couple of games. Obviously, as you already know, I could not attend the Nuneaton game and the Spennymoor game, but they did a fantastic job getting the footage, or some footage from the game and their thoughts on the game, bit of a food review at Spennymoor as well, get some footage of the stadium as well. So I want to thank each and every one of those people, Dylan, Matty and Joe, for getting the footage from those two games. Obviously, if you've seen the scorelines, you know that we won 2-0 against Nuneaton and won 3-1 away at Spennymoor. And from what was said about those games, it felt like with Spennymoor, I'm not going to comment too much on Nuneaton, but I know on Spennymoor, from the sounds of it, it sounds like the first half, it felt like obviously Spennymoor getting the goal. It wasn't an amazing goal to concede, and then the second half we just blew it away and you know, came back in the second half. So sounds good. Hopefully it was as good as it sounded. Now, obviously, we've got a load of updates to come as well. Got some big updates to come from injuries and also with transfer updates. But we're going to kick things off with this Huddersfield preview, and to do that, we have to look at the opposition. Now, let's have a look in detail of the history of Huddersfield Town, our opponents at the EcoPark Stadium on Saturday. So the founders bought a site on Leeds Road for £500 and joined the North Eastern League, and the following season they joined the Midland Football League in order to reduce travelling costs in an effort to gain entry into the Football League. The club invited Scottish architect Archibald Leach to reconstruct Leeds Road. A 4,000-seat stand was constructed and terracing also planned to provide an overall capacity of 34,000. After the plans went through, Huddersfield directors successfully applied to become members of the Football League back in 1910, and development of Leeds Road began immediately. However, the development costs were too high and attendance sunk below 7,000. Huddersfield went into liquidation in 1912, after which a new limited company was formed to take over the club's assets. The team won its first ever major honour, the FA Cup, after beating Preston North End 1-0 in the 1922 final. Huddersfield also won the 1922 Charity Shield, defeating Liverpool 1-0. Huddersfield finished in third place in 22-23 season before winning their first ever First Division Championship in 1923-24. The team fought off Cardiff City, although it was by the narrowest of margins, both finishing on 57 points, but Huddersfield won it by a difference of 0.024 in goal average. Huddersfield won 3-0 against Nottingham Forest in the last match, and Cardiff drew 0-0 at Birmingham City and missed a penalty. Recognised as one of the most successful English clubs of all time, they were the first to win the English League title 3 times in a row in 1924, 1925 and 1926. This is a feat that's only been repeated by 3 other teams: Arsenal, Manchester United and Liverpool. Huddersfield Town played their final match at Leeds Road on the 30th of April 1994, beating Blackpool 2-1, which was watched by a near-capacity crowd of 16,195. They moved into the new Kirkley Stadium, then named as the Alfred McAlpine Stadium, for the 1994-95 season. During the first season at the new stadium, Huddersfield were promoted to the second tier via the playoffs after a 2-1 win at Wembley against Bristol Rovers. In January 1999, the club was bought by local businessman Barry Rubery, who targeted to reach the Premier League. Steve Bruce succeeded Jackson in May 1999. Huddersfield topped the table in December, but their form plummeted after striker Marcus Stewart was sold to the January transfer window to First Division rivals Ipswich. They finished in the season in 8th place, just outside the playoffs. In October 2000, Bruce was sacked, and Rubery accused Bruce of wasting £3 million, arguing that the money would have been spent more wisely by a more experienced manager without an ego to feed. He was replaced by Lou Macari, who was unable to halt the side as relegated relegation to the third tier followed at the end of the season. Huddersfield reached the playoffs in 2001-02 but lost 2-1 to Brentford in the semi-final. Around this time, the club had debts of £20 million following relegation and the collapse of ITV Digital. The players went months without being paid, and manager Mick Wadsworth at the time was sacked in January 2003, only to be reinstated because the club did not have any money for its payoff. Wadsworth was eventually sacked in March and replaced by Mel Machin, who oversaw relegation to the fourth tier. The club was put into administration, but Ken Davey bought the club in the summer of 2003 and rescued Town from liquidation. Manager Peter Jackson only had 4 senior players on the books before the beginning of 03-04, after which many youngsters from the academy setup was added. Huddersfield finished in a surprising 4th place and defeated Mansfield in the playoff final to return to the 3rd tier. Now, the club embarked upon a new era when Dean Hoyle became chairman in 2009. The Yorkshire club formed 100 innovative partnerships with local, national and international businesses like Pure Legal Limited, Radian B and Cavonia, just to name a few. The unique collaboration with the charity of the Yorkshire Air Ambulance has raised in excess of £1.5 million since its inception in 2009. Fast forward, and German Borussia Dortmund 2 coach David Wagner became the first person born outside the British Isles to manage the club in November 2015, implementing a gegenpressing style of play. In 2016-17, Town finished 5th with a negative goal difference and qualified for the playoffs. After defeating Sheffield Wednesday on the penalties in the semi-final, they faced Reading in the final. Another penalty shootout followed and Huddersfield were again victorious. Promotion to the Premier League meant a return to the first tier for the first time since 1972. Huddersfield also became the second club, after Blackpool, to have won all 3 divisional playoffs. The team finished 16th and stayed up on their return, but they were relegated after a 20th place finish in 2018-2019. Wagner left the club by mutual consent in January 2019 and was replaced by Borussia Dortmund 2 manager Jan Stewart. But Town were relegated in March with 6 matches remaining. The team amassed only 3 wins and 16 points by the end of the season. Hoyle announced his departure in May 2019, selling the club to businessman Phil Hodgkinson. Now, during the new era, Huddersfield Town had been nominated for an impressive 9 accolades at the Football League Awards, scooping the titles of Family Club of the Year and Best Matchday Programme, as well as being highly commended in the marketing and community categories. The Football League Independent Supporters Survey also ranked Huddersfield Town as first out of all 72 clubs at communication with supporters, attracting new fans and creating a matchday experience. Last season, Carlos Coberan took the club all the way to the playoff final in the Championship, where they were beaten by Cooper's Nottingham Forest. Now, of course, Coberan has since left the club. Danny Schofield is currently the head coach, and we will see what happens there. Now, let's sort of round this up, talk a little bit about the club, talk a little bit about this fixture, and have a little bit of a look into and a bit of a dive into what could happen on the day. So there we go. That is the history of Huddersfield Town, or a little slice of history of Huddersfield Town. Now, they've been through a lot as a football club. They've definitely been through a lot across all 3-4 divisions. And I think it's interesting from a Huddersfield perspective. I think obviously they're going to go into a very interesting season in the Championship now. No Carlos Coberan. They're going to have to bring in a new manager, which I believe is Danny Schofield. But Huddersfield fans, correct me if Danny Schofield is going to be permanent manager or not. I believe he's interim or just caretaker manager, but I could be wrong. I think he's the proper head coach now. Obviously, in terms of signings, I think Lewis O'Brien's going. I think there's a few other players going as well. In terms of incomings, I've not seen much of Huddersfield's business, so I don't really know who they're bringing in. I know they've just brought in the only one I know about is Cal Hudlin, or one of the only ones I know about is Cal Hudlin. I know they were interested in Jack Rudoni from Wimbledon as well. And look, I watched Rudoni when we played Wimbledon last season in League One, and Rudoni's a quick, good player. So you've got yourself a good young player there. And Cal Hudlin, non-league level, 6'9" striker. So you've definitely got a target man if you're after a target man. I believe Hudlin's going to be in the B team, if I'm not mistaken. I think the B team posted something about Hudlin being in there. I think Rudoni, if he gets accepted and announced, will probably go into the main Huddersfield team, but I could be wrong there. But look, I think it's going to be interesting to see who Huddersfield bring for this game. There was a bit of a clash like a few weeks back, and we didn't know what was going to happen with us and Harrogate, because I know Huddersfield have got to face Harrogate, so they're going to take the reserves to Harrogate and then bring the first team here. We don't know. We'll have to see. It could be a mixture of both, first and reservists to both matches. We never know. So, or they might just move the match. They might just move the Harrogate match. I'm not too sure. But no, Huddersfield going down on Saturday. Can't wait for this game. Like I say, it's going to be another good run out for the lads. Great to get back into the EcoPass Stadium for the new season as well. Obviously, we've got Huddersfield and Rotherham. Then we've got United and Manchester. Then this game against Wakefield as well. So we've still got a couple of games to go before the season starts away at Bradford, which, fingers crossed, I will be there. But no, overall, like I said, Huddersfield got a rich history. And, you know, in terms of the Championship this season, do I think Huddersfield are going to do well? I think it's going to be interesting. I think they're losing a good few amount of players, good players, and apart from Rudoni and Hudlin, which seems to be confirmed now, I don't know what other business are going to bring in, so they could struggle this season. They could have a opportunity to struggle, but I hope not. I think Huddersfield could do well. So if they bring that spirit and belief, you know, as long as you have spirit and belief and backing, then there's no reason why you can't try and go for a good finish next season. So I think it'll be interesting for Huddersfield. I mean, from our perspective, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Obviously, we've got all our new signings at the moment, obviously, but obviously we have got injuries updates, which we'll bring you, which we brought you already over this pre-season, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they develop. Anderson, Barlow, Taylor now out for a couple of months, rumours of Agard moving on to Hartlepool, youngsters getting loaned out. Ravenhill could have to step up into the first team a bit this season with the injury to Close and him getting back. Is Faulkner going to have to step in at times before he gets loaned out? We don't know. There's question marks. We're starting to see question marks form around the squad now. Not as many as this time last year, I'll be completely honest. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think there was more question marks last summer than this summer, but we're starting to see those question marks grow and grow now. Clayton's injured for God knows how long at the minute. Taylor's out for another couple of months. Anderson could be back a few games into the season. Barlow's out for a few weeks. Close in back yet. Agard's just coming back. You know, I think our young Charles Belly Conway was injured and just coming back. So there's still question marks. Not compared to last summer, but there's still question marks. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of squad we filled out for this game. And like I said, if you do have any predictions for this game, comment down below. I think it's going to be... I think Huddersfield might beat us 2-0, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to predict. I don't like predicting that we're going to lose, but I think Huddersfield still being a Championship team and still having some good players in there, I think they'll still beat us 2-0. So I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, because I do want us to win that game and keep this unbeaten run in pre-season going. So we'll see. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I am the CHALL, your YouTube Sporting Network. That is full-time Rovers till I die.